Can anybody tell me what day it is? I have been in my cave for so long that I don't even know who I am anymore. Oh, you guys. Hello, my fellow Rimworld player. Please excuse me that I'm a little bit dazed today, but since I started playing Rimworld, my life has been spiraling out of control quite a bit, and I've been here for way too long. But I figured out that after I've collected around 20 hours of gameplay, it is about time that I do another Rimworld video. Would you believe that my old settlement is still standing? Well, it's kind of. In the last 20 hours of gameplay, I learned a lot more about the game, so a new start was more than recommended. But don't worry about it. We are going through the footage together, and you can delight yourself in some of the stupid mistakes that I made. New day, new hope. So, the last time we left off with Titan being mauled by our dogs, but this ended his berserker rage. Oh, and Brian hinted that I should show you guys the stats of my pawns, which I will do here. So we have Titan, who is our researcher, then we have Nicola, who was, is our doctor, animal specialist and artistic guy, followed by Isaac, the cook, miner and constructor. Vodus as our psychopath who tends to get into fight but is pretty good with plants and melee. Oh, and we have Brian, who mainly does the hunting and doctor work. So moving on, I realized that there are no herbal plants on this map, and my storage was pretty much empty. But yes, I was so smart to plant them though. It was just a little bit late. And what I also planted was a orange tree that supposedly spawns dryads that supports our settlement. Now big brain time Pat here assigned Titan, who has next to no plant skill, to do this task, which ended in, what you could guess, in this tree not being really useful towards us. I also realized that you can give your pawns a more precise work plan, which will come in handy later on. Naturally, I started to become better at keeping my food up. As you can see here, the storage is full with potatoes, and they didn't really need a cooler because they don't rot away for years. In terms of research, I also started to understand how the system works, and what I needed first to keep my pawns happy. Now to the next event that caught me off guard was an extremely dangerous monkey that started a manhunt. Since I lost the ear and the jaw to a squirrel in the last episode, I didn't even want to think about what a monkey could do. So I rallied all the guys, and with one precise arrow from Brian, the threat was over. I mean, better safe than sorry, I guess. Now one thing I've been looking out for quite a while was the beauty slider. Took me some time to realize that if a room looks dirty and awful, your pawns start to become a little bit angry. Now I know about the art station, so I found out that you can craft art and just place it down to keep your pawns happy. At this point, Nicola really got the bad end of the stick. Worse enough that he had cancer growing inside of him, he also catched the flu. And with me running out of medicine, the timing couldn't have been worse, right? Well, wrong! Because while my worried eyes light up on Nicola, Bodo started to smash in Brian's face. So I had to use an already weakened Nicola to tend to these two guys. And since I didn't know how the disease system works, I didn't know about the immunity and stuff like that. At this point, I found out the reason Bodus attacked Brian was because Brian compared Bodus' mother to a raider. I mean, that's not really nice. But as I already stated in my last video, the world gives and the world takes. So this is when a transport pod crashed with a new pawn inside. The only downside to this was that she suffered from paralytic abasia, so she couldn't move and we had to take care of her for 36 days. I also renamed Francis to Hyper because what would a playthrough be without you, my friend? And these are his stats. Oh yeah, and I also finally understood how the health system works You know, at this point it clicked for me. I was like, okay, that's how immunity and sickness works. Sadly, it was too late for Nicola, because Nicola died. Yeah. I'm sorry. Don't worry, the others will follow soon. And because we are monsters, we gave Nicola a proper burial. I also started to realize that the pawns are their own worst enemy, because without the fight between Brian and Bodus, Nicola would have survived. I mean, you can argue now that I shouldn't have used him in his state, but it's easier to shift the blame away, right? Anyway, like I told you before, we held a ritual to link Titan to the orange tree, and I made the medicine maker. With the pawns working away, I read myself into medicine beds and their purpose. I soon realized that it's better to host your sick and wounded in a hospital than in your own beds. Worth noting here that the herbal medicine was also ready for harvest. I also started to notice that the button at the right, you know, this button here, and with that button I found out that there is something called rich soil, which makes your plants grow faster. And I also learned from a YouTube video that rice grows quite fast, so I decided to make some new fields there, especially rice ones. Did you know that over 4 billion people die from rat attacks every year? No? Well, I'm not sure either about that, but when I heard that a rat went mad in my local area and decided to attack me, I instantly railed the forces with just one hit. One hit, the rat died. But you might call me a hero now, but you don't have to. With the realization that my homes are too small for my pawns, my next focus was to enlarge their private areas. Private areas. Now, we also got a visit from the slavers, and this is the point where I bought my first slave. And Emma, with her stats, should take off the work from our builders. Now, I don't fully understand how the slave system works. I just knew that you had to suppress your slaves. If there is a downside to owning slaves, then please let me know. Quick side note, our lovely monkey Brutus got crushed to death when a roof collapsed and fell onto him. With our settlement rising up, everyone being happy and our food storage being full, it really felt like I'm starting to get the hang of it. Titan's research also started to pay off, because we were moving into a new age. By researching electricity, I could finally have something to cool my food, although I had to research the air conditioners first. I also started building a new cold store and a new dining room farther to the southeast, and while I was at it, I lured a boomerloop into our new kitchen and set it on fire. Why? Well, just because I can. And shortly after the big boom, a threat was moving towards me. But this time it wasn't a rat, so I failed to make proper preparations. In the end, we were able to defeat the attackers. But shortly after that, a new attack moved to the settlement. We got attacked by Donkey and Tiger. Quite extravagant names, I have to admit. Donkey attacked from the right side, while Tiger attacked from the left. In the fight we killed Donkey, but we captured Tiger and put her into a prison. This was the perfect opportunity for me to get myself into the recruitment and prisoner system. I found out that you have to assign a warden with a high social skill. Well, thank God we have Titan, because most of our honor pawns are really not that social. I can relate. While I was tending to our future pawn, Emma decided she wants to flee. We don't do that here. Slaves don't flee from a settlement, at least not alive. So I drafted my guys, shot her down and put her back where she belongs. What I also found out that you can decrease someone's ideology by keeping them a prisoner. After all the quests I got through the last hours, I finally found one that piqued my interest. A guy wanted to stay at my settlement for 13 days, and for that I get a new colonist. I accepted that without giving it much of a thought, and so Chuck was leeching from us the next few days. In the meantime, Titan crafted a sculpture that was called Kindness of Emma, which pretty much showed her in a near-death scenario. Man, Titan, you really have some good taste in art. After 36 days of lying in bed, Hyper finally decided to stand up and move around. But things didn't go quite for long, and we got attacked by a group called the Waspmen. Clearly, they were no match for me, and their life ended quickly. Soon after Titan finished researching the air condition, I knew that from now on things will get good. With Titan's persuasion art, he managed to talk Tiger into joining us. Now you see, usually this would make me really happy, but the big problem was the ideology. I didn't pay too much attention to that. Because she was basically a vegan, she didn't like if trees and plants get hurt. But she also had a very primitive spin on that. And she also had an alcohol problem. Cutting down trees and not having alcohol was the final straw for her. So what did she do? Did she go on an assaulting spree? Nope. She decided to kill Titan. But I was quick and decided to arrest her and threw her back into jail. At this point I also learned that you can starve out alcoholics and drug abusers. After our leech Chuck was done, we finished this quest and we were rewarded with Joyce, who from now on was our main cook, since she didn't fight. She also had nice stats in crafting and medical, although her addiction might be a problem at some point. Soon after, we got attacked by the Tesna tribe, which only consisted of one attacker with really bad stats. Now you see, the real problem here was that our potato plants catch the blight, which was not really good considering my food management. However, Vodus and Brian took care of Cheetah. Now because of her physic withdrawal, Joyce started to dig up corpses and show them around. Now I was quick to arrest her. Now with 2 of my future pawns being imprisoned, I also had to arrest Emma because she wanted to start a fire. With our ritual room now being finished, I started to convert Tiger to our cause. And surprise surprise, our ritual succeeded. Soon after, another attack moved towards my settlement, this time from the Brayla people. And this time around, there were 5 attackers. Now I messed up the planning a little bit, so I got the guys together, but it was a little bit late. Hyper was knocked down while my other pawns had a hard battle. Oh, and Joyce was wandering around in her sad wanderer state, and she was just walking into knives and got stabbed multiple times on the battlefield. After losing 3 of their men, the attackers decided to flee. With Joyce overcoming her addiction, I brought her back as a pawn. Now in the meantime, the Waspmen really didn't want to give up, so they sent another group to assault us. And this time around they were capable fighters. But I quickly rallied our pawns and killed the melee attackers quite fast. With them being dead, the other guys got scared and ran off. Now if all this wasn't bad enough, a huge group of monkeys decided to start manhunting and come after us. But the fight was fast over than I expected. Leading on to the next part, we had our first festival, which boosted everyone's morale. And I got a message that a wanderer wants to join me. His name was Mo and he was quite good at crafting, so I let him go to work pretty fast. From seeing my build order, you have probably realized by now that I wanted to move farther to the southeast, which spread the settlement up by quite a bit. And another big problem was that the volcanic winter event started, which wasn't really good for my plans. But hey, after that bad event, a group of goats joined in. Well, that didn't really matter that much, because the downhill started from there on. It started with Mo and Hyper getting into a fight. Then Vodus went on an insulting spree. That led Emma and Vodus into the next fight. While this was going on, the Tesla tribe attacked. Now, obviously I managed to win, but I just had to make sure to tend to my pawns now. And not even a few minutes later, malaria started to spread in my colony. Well, at least through the crafting, Mo got everyone a helmet. And this is where it really went downhill. The volcanic winter was really bad, but you know what happened then? A cold snap, which is said to kill all my plants because of hypothermia. Since I didn't even have a room that was properly heated, one after another settler started to catch hypothermia, and with Emma being the first one that died, things kept getting worse. Because soon after, Hyper died. And then Brian also died to the cold snap. Now here I was at a crossing point. I knew I made some bad decisions out there. And probably the biggest one was spreading up the colony, because the walking time was way too bad. And with that, I decided I'm going to start over. I have collected a lot of knowledge throughout this playthrough, and I knew that I had to do specific things the certain way. So, with that, we're gonna end this episode. And in the next episode, you will see me in a new colony. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and if you're interested in more, I will keep you guys updated for the future settlements. So anyway guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye!